What is the absolute best aiming method? This is by Joseph H. The one that works for you. That is really, really the answer, right? Because when I see a question like that, I feel like the person that's asking the question, and though I'm not directing this like at you, but people that think like that aiming systems, like there's a magic bullet. Like the moment you start mastering this aiming system, like you're gonna become pro. And I mean that's just not the way it works. I mean it really isn't. Systems, whether it's an aiming system, whether it's a kicking system, a banking system, or whatever, systems that do exist in this game, they are meant to give you references. That's all it is. It's a reference. It's a starting point. It's something to get you going to where you're not having to absolutely guess at what you're doing. And when you have these starting points and you have these references, you go and put in the many hours of practice, and then things start to become more natural after that. And that's when you start hearing the term, oh, when people say I play by feel, well, that's what they mean. Is because they think that they're not using any system when in fact that they are. They just have already graduated to where they don't have to consistently rely on the system, go through the steps of the systems of, if you're using ghost ball, visualizing where the ghost ball is, or putting your stick down where you think the ghost ball is going to be and then trying to aim at that spot, like, or if you're doing a bank shot and you start laying your your cue on the table at certain angles and do parallel shifting and all this other kind of stuff. Anybody that says they play by feel, they've already passed all that stuff to where they just don't bother measuring everything because they put in the many, many hours of practice, right? So what's the absolute best aiming method? If you want me to give you a concrete answer, it's going to be ghost ball, because no matter what aiming system is out there, they all lead to ghost ball. The only difference between these other aiming systems is they basically try to say, well, you don't want to have to aim at an imaginary spot on the table, right? You want to be able to aim objectively. So there would be whether it's CTE, whether it's 90-90. I think there's like there's a shadow aiming system where you have to use the lights have to be done a certain way to where it casts a certain shadow on the ball. There's fractional aiming. There's all kinds of different things that you can use, and if you study them long enough, you'll get them to work. But the absolute end result of every single solitary aiming system is to put the cue ball where the ghost ball is at, and then you're guaranteed to make the shot. So how do you get the cue ball to be at the ghost ball position? That's going to be up to you in regards to what aiming system do you want to practice to try to master zeroing in on the ghost ball. There is no magic bullet. It's all going to be just practice. I'm primarily a ghost ball aimer, and then I also use a little bit of fractional aiming to help verify my aim, which means I'm using the inside edge of the cue ball. I do plan on making a video about that. Yes, touch of inside is another aiming system. I believe that's done by, I think that's CJ Wiley that teaches that. Because they basically show you how to use the spins of spinning the cue ball, either left spin or right spin. But touch of inside is always putting inside spin on the cue ball, so that way you can gear the object ball towards the pocket and try to reduce any amount of frictional throw that you can have on a particular shot, depending upon the thickness or the thinness of the hit. But nothing is ever going to top practice, right? So you have all these systems out here that people have taught. I have taught a couple of systems. Other people have taught other types of systems. So you have a plethora of information. It's a matter of whoever you go decide to watch, do they explain it well enough for you to understand, so that way you can try to implement it onto the table, and therefore practice. Because no matter what knowledge you have of something, if you don't practice it, the knowledge is going to be useless.